But first thing we're going to do is we're going to break that bolt loose on the bottom right there. Remember I said that's a 55. We're just going to put this off to the side. We're going to clean this off with some brake cleaner. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take those two bolts and loosen those up. Those the bolts that are actually the 18 millimeter, we're going to loosen them. Pretty tight on the other side, so I am going to use a breaker bar like this to loosen it. That was pretty tight. Now, if you couldn't break it loose with this, that's when you would slide that pipe over the end, and you can do it like that as well. Okay, now that we loosened it up, we're going to loosen it up with the regular ratchet. Be careful with your brake line right here. You don't want to break it. We're going to put this up on the top right here like this for now. And we're going to take off the mounting bracket just like this. See what you can see a little better here. All right, we'll take this off. Now we'll put this on the bench and we'll come back to this in just a minute. And now we want to push these pistons here back in. We have to recess these pistons back into the bore. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a brake pad on here like this. And then we're going to put our other brake pad in here like that. We're just going to put in one of the old brake pads for now, just like this, till we get it to move a little bit. And then we'll just tighten it and push those pistons back in. All right, now while that's pushing back in, we're going to break these clips off. You just take a pair of cutting pliers, grab it like this, and you snap it right off, and this is trash. Same thing on the bottom. That's trash. All right, now this rotor was tight on the other side. It was pretty tight on the other side, so we're going to give it a couple of shots in the back here to knock it off. And we're just going to turn that piston back in a little more. So we're just going to let that push back in. Now we're going to take our hammer and give it a bang in the back over here to see if we can knock it off. If not, we're going to do that same thing we did up in the front with the bolts on the bottom. So let's give it a shot with the hammer first and see how it works. Cover your ears. Now we're going to tap it back here. Now if this didn't work, remember you could have put those bolts in there like I did in the front. if this part here is rusted, you want to clean it up at this point, but this one is actually fairly clean. So we're going to put our new rotor back on, just like that. Now we'll continue pushing this piston back in. Just push that piston back in the rest of the way. And while that's pushing in, let me explain to you what we're going to do. This is the brake pad. We're going to just take this off, obviously, and take it out just like this. What we're going to do is we're going to take these two clips off right here and here. I think I'm going to do this on the bench here, so I'm just going to pry these off like this for now, just like that. That's trash. Same thing on this one here. Just pry it off. Right. Okay, now we're going to take a file and we're going to clean this up right inside here, like I did in the front. If you have a file, fine. If you don't, you can clean it with a piece of emery cloth or sandpaper. But you're basically just going to clean this up right here, and you're going to turn it over, and you're going to clean it up right inside here as well. So, all right, let me clean this up a little bit, and when I'm going to run this off on my wire wheel and clean it up a little bit, and then we'll come right back to this. So, all right. In the meantime, let's push that piston back in the rest of the way. Now we're going to switch off this brake pad. We're going to take it out. We're going to put a new brake pad in there. That way we can push those pistons back in a little bit easier. Okay, we'll take our brake pads back out for now, and you can see that the pistons are pushed back in. All right, now I take a little bit of synthetic grease, and every place that the brake pad is going to touch, we put a little bit of the synthetic grease, just like this. Each one of the pistons. And then we're also going to put some grease up in here, because the brake pad is going to touch that as well. Okay. Now I have brake cleaner on this rag. We're going to clean off this slide pin right here. Get all the grease off of it. And then we're going to lubricate it just a little bit so that we have nice fresh grease in there so it slides nice and freely. Right? We are going to clean off the other bolt as well. And again, we're just going to put a little bit of the synthetic grease on this bolt. And we're going to put this off to the side just for a little bit till we come back to it. Alright, let me show you how I cleaned off that that bracket. You know what? Let's do it right over here, I think. Okay. Now what you do is you take your file like this and you just clean up every place that the brake pad, or I should say every place that the mounting hardware is going to go, and in turn the brake pad will touch into that as well. And as you can see, it cleans up pretty well. But I'm going to take it over and I'm going to run this off on the wire wheel just to make sure it's nice and clean, and then we'll come right back. If you don't have a wire wheel at home, you can use this. You can use emery cloth to clean this up a little bit better, but you have to make sure all that rust is off. All right, so let me continue with that and we'll come right back. Okay, now after you have it cleaned off, you're going to take a slight bead of the silicone and put it every place that that mounting bracket is going to go. Just like that. Okay. Now we're going to take our mounting bracket, and then remember now, there's two different sizes on here, right? One is thin and one is thick. You can see the difference? Okay. Two different thicknesses. So this part is to the outside. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take it, turn it, and push it back on like that. And we're going to do the exact same thing right here. And if you're not sure if it's on all the way, just tap it on just to make sure. Same thing here. All right. Now, our brake pad is going to touch on this stainless steel piece here, so we put a little bit of synthetic grease on here, just like that. Now, you don't need a lot, just a little bit, just like that. And now we'll take our brake pads and we'll put them back onto the bracket here before we mount it back on the car. Now, I want to point this out to you. This was the inner brake pad because you can see where the piston was touching on it. So you want to make sure that your indicator, your disc indicator, is in a correct location. So this brake pad is the inner brake pad, and this one, as you can see, this one is a mirror image. That's actually the outer brake pad. All right, so we're going to put our inner brake pad on first, like this. And it slides really nice and freely, as you can see. It's very free. We're going to take our other brake pad and put it on just like this. And you can see they slide really nicely. So now that this is all ready to go back together, let's go over to the truck, and we're going to put this back on, and I'll show you how to do that. Put this on here, like that. Over the top like this. We're going to lift our brake pad up, so it goes on here. This one goes right there. Let's get something so you can see what we're doing here. Right like that. And then we're just going to take this. And bring this over here. And you're just going to spread your brake pads open so that you can fit over the top, just like that. You're going to catch your bolts up on top. We're going to catch our bolt on the bottom as well. Okay, now we will come back to these and we will torque those two 18mm bolts down, but we're going to catch this one right here for now. We lubricated that, you remember. And now we're just going to put it in there. Okay, we're just going to go over what we did here. We made sure that the back in here was clean, where the brake rotor fits over the axle. We put our new rotor on. We mounted our new brake hardware onto the mounting bracket here. We cleaned off the bracket to make sure there was no rust underneath there. New hardware, and we lubricated every place that the brake pad's going to touch here and here. We slid the caliper mounting bracket back onto the vehicle. We tightened up that bolt right there, and we also tightened up this bolt on the bottom here as well, the other 18mm. We actually tightened up this Torx, this 55 right here, and this one, as you remember, we didn't do anything with that. We couldn't touch it. That's it, we're all set. We're just going to look up these specs right now, and we're going to torque these back down to what they're supposed to be, and that's it, then we're all done.